Well, friends, welcome. In the previous session, we are discussing about the concept of income. We'll continue from that point. Most of the concept or most of the principles on the basis of which we decide whether a particular receipt is income or not, we had discussed in our previous class. And you already know all receipts are not income. Consequently, all receipts do not attract tax. There are certain receipts which shall be considered as income, and only those receipts will be attracting tax. Okay, so I'll be going to share the screen with you right now. Screen is visible to you, I hope. Yeah. So in our previous session, I was explaining you this definition. Definition of income is given under section 2, clause 24. And you already know this is an inclusive definition. You see several items are listed here. There are some more items are also there in the next slide. As you know, inclusive definition, income includes profit and gains, dividend, voluntary contributions received by charitable organizations, perquisites or profit in lieu of salary, special allowances, okay, and benefits of or perquisites which are convertible to money or not, which are obtained by the director or relative of a director. Okay, similarly, certain uh, uh, receipts or certain incomes, not exactly incomes, certain receipts which are described under section 28, 41, 59, all these things we'll be discussing in under very different heads. Then capital gains are also income. Profit and gains from business of mutual insurance companies or cooperative societies, they are also income. Banking income of a cooperative society is also an income. Winning from lotteries, crossword, puzzles, race, card game, gambling, betting, entertainment programs in electronic media. All these receipts are incomes. Some received from employees as PF, ESI, superannuation, welfare fund contribution. When employees contribute, employees make this kind of contribution for an employer, that becomes an income. Some received under key man insurance policy. Right? Under key man insurance policy, compensation might be received. Sometimes it is received by the employer, sometimes received by the employee, sometimes received by some third persons. So in different situations, they will be taxable under different heads. All of them are income. Any sum received for not carrying out certain activities is also an income. Fair market value of inventory, which is converted into or traded as capital asset or treated as capital asset. When inventory is converted into capital asset or it is treated as a capital asset, so the fair market value of the inventory will be treated as an income. Gift in excess of rupees 50,000 rupees, except from relatives, shall be treated as an income. Consideration for issue of shares, when it exceeds the fair market value, that shall be treated as an income. Any sum received as advance, if the sum is forfeited, that the advance money which is received, that will be treated as an income. Sum of money received without consideration or inadequate consideration. Okay, whether it is a money or maybe some non-monetary consideration, maybe some property is received without consideration or for inadequate consideration, that is also an income. Okay, so any compensation received for termination of employment, that is also an income. Subsidy, grant, cash subsidy, duty drawback, waiver, concession, reimbursement by central government, state government, or by any authority. All of these subsidies, etc., will be treated as an income. So we know this definition, and we also were discussing in just now or earlier also that all receipts are not income. There are certain receipts which are capital receipts. Normally, capital receipts are not income unless they are specifically included. And these are certain principles we had discussed in our earlier class. You can refer to our recorded videos to understand these principles. Several principles we had already discussed. And coming to the charging section of Income Tax Act, section 4 talks about that it is the total income which is chargeable to tax. So we need to decide what is income. and all receipts are not income. Some of the receipts may be income. We'll be going to decide on that thing. Okay, so how to know which kind of receipt is an income and which type of receipt is not an income? To know that thing, we need to understand this concept, that whether the receipt is a capital receipt or receipt is a revenue receipt. Okay. So this distinction, understanding this distinction is very important for us. And we have to remember one thing, that the capital receipts are normally exempt from tax unless they are expressly taxable. Okay, unless they're specifically or expressly included, capital receipts are normally not taxable. Whereas, if it is a revenue receipt, they are normally taxable unless they are expressly exempt. Okay, certain revenue receipts are expressly exempt. If it is exempt, then it is not taxable. Here I am showing you some examples of taxable capital receipt. You can see the slide. When you will be learning the chapter capital gain, you will be understanding what is a capital asset, right? And if there is a transfer of capital asset, then there is a possibility of capital gain or capital loss is also possible. So at that time, you will be understanding that how consideration receipt for transfer of capital asset, even if that may be technically a capital receipt, still it can be regarded as an income. Right? Examples are capital gains, compensation for termination or modification of terms of employment. Okay, lump sum received before joining employment or cessation of employment. So these are some examples. Voluntary contribution received by charitable trust and institution. It might be capital receipt, but still this shall be regarded as income. Okay. And here I am showing you few more examples of tax-free revenue receipts. As you know, revenue receipts are normally not taxable. They're not normally not income. But even if it is income, that will not attract tax, like agricultural income, share of income from a partnership firm, some received by individual member from an Hindu undivided family, dividend income from domestic companies, UTI, mutual funds, under section 10, there are some specific sections. This is a conditional exemption. In certain situations, they are exempt. Okay. Like this. These are few examples. One more example, you can see income of political parties. It might be a revenue receipt, but still that income is exempt. Okay. So normally, now you have seen there are exceptions to the normal rule that capital receipts are normally exempt and revenue receipts are normally taxable. But there are exceptions to both the situations. There are capital receipts which are taxable and there are revenue receipts which are again exempt. Did you understand up to this?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
now friends, to understand what is capital receipt, what is revenue receipt, we need to discuss certain points, certain principle-like things we have to remember. But before understanding that concept, we need to understand one more concept, that what is fixed capital, what is circulating capital. Okay. Now you see, why you need to understand? Because it will help us to understand the distinction between capital receipt and revenue receipt. First of all, friends, all of you know, if you want to run a business, you need some capital. Yes or no? You need some
Yes, sir.
capital.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you might be knowing, initially you might have to make some investment. And again, to run the business, you might be on a day-to-day basis, you might be needing some more money, which is called as working capital. So we can call some part of the capital is a
Yes,
fixed capital, other part is working capital. Is it? Suppose you are buying a bike, your bike is a fixed capital,
Yes, sir.
and the petrol you need to, every day you need some petrol to run that. So that might be your circulating capital you need, and that is the working capital. In financial management, we call it as working capital. Okay. Now you see, now what is fixed capital? Which is not involved directly in the process of business, but remains unaffected in the process. Okay, that is called as capital risk. You take an example, a small example you take, any example. You take a, let us say, small hotel. If you go to that hotel or you go to that restaurant, you find furnitures are there. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is the process followed in the restaurant? They will cook food and they will serve the food. They will collect money. Is it not? You can find these furniture, tables, chairs, electrical fittings, etc. remain unaffected by the process. In that process, these furnitures do not change. Today the furniture is there. Maybe after 5 days you go to find the same furniture, same fan, same AC. All these things are there, right? So that those things we'll call it as the fixed capital. What is circulating capital? Which is turned over in the business and which ultimately results in profit and loss. Which is turned over means which keeps on changing. In that same restaurant, you might be finding some, let us say, some of their raw material. Might be rice will be there, wheat flour might be there. These are the things which keeps on changing. If you want to run the business, you have to make some investment on these ingredients. And that keeps on changing. In the process, let us say raw rice, rice is gets cooked out of this wheat flour. You make roti like this. That keeps on changing. That is what we call it as the circulating capital. So in any business, now we can distinguish what is fixed capital, what is circulating capital. Circulating capital, you can understand it is something like your working capital. Okay. Did you understand the difference?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
circulating and fluctuating are the same or different?
No. Fluctuating and circulating are not same. Fluctuating is different thing. This circulating working capital may fluctuate.
There's
It may
something
fluctuate.
called
It may go.
fluctuating capital something.
No, fluctuating concept is different. Okay, so you are talking from that point, from a financial management point of view. That is different thing. Okay, there also working capital can fluctuate, can remain constant. Here, fixed means it doesn't change, and circulating means it circulates. It moves in a circle. You can think something like this: raw material converted into work in progress converted into finished goods into debtors to cash, like this. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, once you have understood what is fixed capital and circulating capital, let us understand this test. Here I am going to show you certain tests on the basis of which we will be able to decide whether this capital, whether it's a capital receipt or revenue receipt. Now you see, receipts which are referable to fixed asset is a capital receipt. Suppose the restaurant sells its furniture, that is a capital receipt. But which is referable to circulating capital. Let us say the restaurant is selling its food. It is referable to circulating capital. That's the revenue receipt. Did you understand? Receipt
Yes, sir.
which are referable to
Yes,
fixed
sir.
capital is a capital receipt. And receipts which are referable to circulating capital is a revenue receipt. This is the, you can say, a fundamental test we can apply in any situation to test whether this is a revenue receipt or capital receipt. Then only we can say whether it is taxable or not. Okay.
Sir, if shop sells the furniture,
Yes, sir.
that is
If
a revenue
furniture,
receipt?
if it is a furniture shop selling the furniture, then that is a circulating capital. But if the restaurant is selling his furniture, then that is his fixed capital.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If furniture shop sells furniture, then that is the raw material. He buys furniture, sells furniture, so furniture circulates in that business. But in the restaurant business, furniture doesn't circulate. Furniture is fixed. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. Similarly, we can say business sales, capital sales versus business sales. What is capital sales? When a particular sales transaction brings some changes in investment. Okay, let us say some asset is sold, then that is a capital sale. A normal business sale, that means sell in the ordinary course of business. When sell in ordinary, all the sales which are in the ordinary course of business are revenue receipts. But sale of a capital asset is a capital receipt. Okay, so you have to understand that if the sale is relatable
Yes,
related to a capital asset, then that's a capital receipt. If it's an ordinary business sale, that's a revenue receipt. And one more test also we can say. What is important here is the nature of initial receipt. When you receive, when the recipient is receiving money, initially we have to see whether it is a revenue receipt or capital receipt. Subsequently, it may change. Okay, subsequently he may converts into something else. That doesn't matter. Let us say initially you receive it as a revenue receipt. Then it is a revenue receipt. Subsequently you convert it to some capital asset. That doesn't matter. So the nature of initial receipt is important from tax point of view. Right? Are you getting? Subsequent changes in the nature is not acceptable. You
sir,
have to
please explain this again.
explaining. Okay, let us say initially you received some money. You sold something. Let us say normal business transaction. Normal business sales and you received some money. So that is your income. That is your revenue receipt. And out of that money, let us say you converted, you bought an
Yes, sir.
asset. You'll say, you see that money, in fact, I didn't receive, it is converted into some capital asset. So it's a capital receipt. No, that's not a capital receipt. Subsequently, you have changed its form. But when you received, initially, it was a revenue receipt. It was a revenue receipt.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Then, next
Yes,
test
sir.
we have to see. What is important here is that we have to test in the hands of a recipient. The person who is receiving, we have to see whether it is a revenue or capital receipt in his hand. It might be different, or you can say that it might be a capital payment from the payer's point of view. So payer's point of view is not important. When we are considering a particular receipt, what is important here is that we have to see the receipt as it is coming to the hands of recipient. Okay, did you understand this thing?
Sir,
Yes,
will
sir.
you give an example?
Yeah, again, I am giving you an example. Let us say you are buying a car. Okay. Or let us say, oh, I'll do something like this. So let us say you are selling a car. So normally it is a capital receipt,
Yes, sir.
is it not? But let us say there is a second-hand
Yes,
car
sir.
seller. He is purchasing your car. For him, he is acquiring a revenue asset.
Yes.
Okay. Just because for him that is
Yes,
a
sir.
revenue item, that doesn't mean that it will be also a revenue receipt in your hand. For you, it is a capital receipt.
Capital receipt.
Receipt.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when under income tax, what we'll see
Yes, sir.
or will the test the transaction as it is appearing as or we can say we will test those transactions, whether it is a revenue receipt or capital receipt. We'll see it from the recipient's point of view. Okay. Right.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir.
then you see there might be some receipts which are casual receipts. That means occasionally once or there might be some receipts which are recurring, repeatedly we are getting. Okay, but this is not on that basis we cannot take a decision. Sometimes casual receipts, just because it is a casual receipt, we cannot say it's a capital receipt. It may be a revenue receipt also. Or maybe sometimes capital receipts may recur. Repeatedly you are getting a capital receipt. That doesn't mean that it will become revenue receipt. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Suppose, let us say one time receipt is there. Just because you received it once, you cannot say it is a capital receipt. Right. On the other hand, capital receipts can be recurring also. Capital receipts can be recurring also. Suppose regularly you are getting some capital receipt. That doesn't mean that it will become revenue receipt. Okay. So on that basis, we cannot decide. That means frequency of receipt will not matter. Then Next concept we'll be discussing about the premium receipt. If premium is received for use of capital asset, for use of capital asset, I am saying, for use of capital asset, that is a revenue receipt. Because assets are not sold, capital assets are not sold. You are using the capital asset. But when it is, let us say, receipt to give license to release the capital asset, then that is a capital receipt. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Sir, please repeat again.
Okay. You see, when premiums are received for use of the capital asset, okay, just there is a capital asset to use that thing, you are giving some premium. As if, let us say, you are renting that asset and you are, for that rent, you are giving a premium. Then that is a revenue receipt for the receiver.
Sir,
But for,
insurance type.
sorry,
Sir, like we make car insurance like that.
No.
car insurance, car, what you are asking? Car insurance type? No,
Yes, sir.
it is
No.
not that premium. I think you are confused with insurance premium. It is not premium. Premium means when you pay some extra money, that is called as premium. Okay, let us say you want to buy you want to take a land on lease. Land is definitely a capital asset, right? And you will be paying lease rent. When you pay lease rent, so for the recipient, that is a revenue receipt because it is rent. And let us say for using the land, you are paying rent. And let us say what you are doing, you are paying some premium also. You are paying premium for use of that capital asset. So for the recipient, that will be a revenue receipt because it is, you see, it is connected to the rent. Okay, but let us say capital asset is released. Total asset is transferred to your name. Land is transferred to your name, and for that thing you are paying a premium. That's a capital receipt. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
First
Yes, sir.
situation is that you are going to use the land and you are paying premium. That is revenue receipt. Okay. Second case is that the land is transferred to your name and you are paying a premium. That is capital receipt. Did you understand? And here premium means not insurance premium. Premium means the extra money you are paying. Okay. Above fair value, you can say. Above market value, if you are paying something extra, that is called as premium. Did you understand? These tests, few more tests are also there. Okay. Next, we need to learn this thing also. Perpetual or life annuity in exchange of capital asset. Okay. So you see life annuity. Life annuity means in exchange of capital asset, meaning you are giving a capital asset, but you are getting a life annuity. That is throughout your life or till your life. So you'll be getting a perpetuity. That means some pension kind of thing you will be receiving. That money you are receiving, what do you think? Will it be a capital receipt or revenue receipt?
Capital receipt.
You think it is capital receipt, but it is not. You see, you are exchanging a capital asset, but the nature of receipt, that money you are receiving, it is you can say it's a pension kind of thing. And this perpetual annuity is taxable. It's a revenue receipt. Okay. But on the other hand, if the asset is sold and the purchaser is paying you that money in installments, then installments you are getting, those installments are relatable to the sale of capital asset and consequently they are capital receipts. Did you understand the difference? First case, what happened? You sold the asset and purchased something, purchased a financial instrument, or you joined a scheme through which you are getting annuity. That annuity is your revenue receipt. In the second case, you sold the asset and you are collecting the sale value in installments. Second case is the capital receipt. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, next test is that the payer's motive is also not important. What payer is thinking, that is not important. We have to test whether it's a capital receipt or revenue receipt in the hands of recipient. Whether there is any profit motive or not, that also immaterial. Okay. Just because there is no profit motive, that doesn't mean that it will not become a revenue receipt. Consequently, will not be taxable. It's not like this. Nomenclature is also irrelevant. You can give any name. That doesn't matter. We have to test the transaction. We have to test in substance, in reality, whether that's a revenue receipt or capital receipt. Just because you call it as a capital subsidy, that doesn't mean that it will become a capital receipt. By nature, it might be a revenue receipt. Okay. Now, entry in the books of account of a hypothetical income. So, artificially, you are showing some income. That also not that will not subjected to tax. Only real income will be subjected to tax. That concept we have to remember. Similarly, treatment of income by the assessee. How assessee is treating in his books of account. That is also not a conclusive proof. We have to see each transaction. We have to look into the nature of that transaction. Assessee might be treating it in his books of account as a capital receipt, or might be treating a capital receipt as a revenue receipt. That doesn't matter. From income tax point of view, you have to separately assess whether it's a revenue receipt or capital receipt. Next point is that the disallowances in the hands of payer. Just because you see, when you are receiving, or payer is paying you, just because it is disallowed in the income tax return, it has been disallowed as an expenses for payer. Okay, that doesn't mean that it will become capital receipt. Okay, so each transaction has to be viewed from recipient's angle only. Then lump sum receipt versus received in installment. That also doesn't matter. Sometimes what happens, revenue receipts we get in lump sum, and capital receipts also we get in installments. That is also possible. Okay, so just because we got a lump sum receipt, let us say someone will maybe he can commute his pension. Pension is normally received in installments periodically. Every month you get something, but someone commutes. That means in a lump sum he will be collecting the entire pension. That doesn't mean that it became a capital receipt. No, it's a revenue receipt, but it is received in lump sum. Similarly, capital receipts may happen in installments. You sold a capital asset, you collect the money in installments. So monthly, every month you are collecting. That doesn't mean that it will become a revenue receipt. It's not like that. Okay. Again, for revenue receipts also, the names given by the courts for compensation are not relevant. Court may call it as a capital compensation or revenue compensation. That doesn't matter. We have to find it out whether it's a revenue receipt or capital receipt by applying the principles of income tax law. Sales tax receipts and refunds are revenue receipts. Tax payable by assessee collected from the customers are revenue receipts. Okay, collected from the customer, and it is the tax which is payable. All these are revenue receipt. Okay, so these are some basic points we just touched upon, and there are some specific issues I will be discussing right now. Annuity, normally it's a revenue receipt. Installments of capital payment will not constitute an annuity. If the capital receipts are received in installments, they will be still treated as capital receipt. Then one more specific case you need to understand. Compensation for termination of sole selling agent. Sole selling agent means he is the only agent, maybe in a particular area. If his agency contract is getting terminated, and in that context, if he is receiving some compensation, okay, that is compensation for termination of sole selling agency. That means you see his agency or the business is terminated and he is getting a compensation. So it should be revenue receipt or capital receipt.
Capital receipt.
It is a capital receipt.
Capital receipt.
Earlier I had told you that example also. You need to compare this situation with a tree and fruit. Right? Income which is received by disposing the tree, that is capital receipt. Income which is generated by the tree, that is a revenue receipt. That is fruit.
Yes, sir.
Right? Which is generated by the source, that is comparable with the fruit, and fruit is a capital receipt. But you cut the tree and you are getting money, that is your capital receipt.
Capital receipt.
That is capital receipt. Fruit sale is a revenue receipt. Okay. Okay. Normal, you are getting sales, you are getting money in the normal course of your business. That is your revenue receipt. But you sold
Yes.
your business itself. That's a capital receipt. Okay. Yeah. Now here is one more thing. It is based on certain case law. Compensation or termination of one among many agencies. Sole selling agent, I told you, that is a capital receipt. Termination of sole selling agent. And here in this case, what has happened? One particular person was having multiple agencies. Let us say you are having 10 agencies, and one of the agencies is terminated, and he got some compensation. The question is whether it is a revenue receipt or capital receipt. What it should be?
Capital receipt.
Yeah, but here in this case, courts have held that it is revenue receipt. Interpretation is that here tree is not sold, only a branch is sold. Okay, so this is you see a specific situation only when among multiple agencies, when the person is having multiple agencies, one of the agencies is terminated, it is treated as revenue receipt. Okay, right? So these are some specific issues, means you need to remember all these things. Non-practice fee for the doctors. So not to practice. Doctors get a fee not to practice. Someone will argue that you see, this is at the cost of my business. I'm sacrificing my business and getting a compensation. So it should be treated as a capital receipt. But courts have said no. Non-practicing fee of the doctors are revenue receipts. Right? Let's say doctor has joined a job and he's getting a non-practice allowance. That means you cannot practice. That's a revenue receipt. Yeah, you are listening?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Some network issues. Give me a moment. I will again share the screen with you. Oh.